celebrations breaking out all across the country, from the borders to Melbourne. Indians are out in the streets dancing, celebrating. Nikhil Chopra, it's Holi much earlier than it is Holi.
Well, celebrations, absolutely. Two fantastic games.
It's Holi and Diwali.
Well, put it this way, the first game against Pakistan that we won, it just brought alive the World Cup for the Indians per se, the fans. And
Andrew, have you played Holi? We're going to dunk you in colour and some water.
We're going to take you out this year.
You join us for our Holi party. That'll be a lot of fun. You can get them all coloured and nice. No, but these are fantastic pictures coming in from different parts of the country. People celebrating both Holi and Diwali together. And that just shows how excited the Indian fan gets, Andrew. What did you make of this in your playing time? The fact that the fan can get highly depressed. Tomorrow, if they lose, he'll be cussing the same set of players. And today, just look at the way they're all dancing and celebrating.
Yeah, I mean, we used to see it at the ground sometimes. They'd light all the 4 and 6 signs up, push them into a big pile and set them on fire, and be firecrackers going off in the stand, and they'd throw them behind you on the boundary, and there'd be a firecracker. Boom! Yeah, they celebrate to the max, don't they, when they have some success? But as we talked about earlier, the mood has changed dramatically. People's really doubting India, but now they're dancing in the streets.
Nikhil, is there a sense that the team gets a little comfortable and complacent because of how well they've done?
I don't think
Is that a fear?
No, I don't
Why
think
not?
so. In the sense that, with the number of supporters at the MCG, if you look at today, you've got to take that as your strength. It's like you're playing at home, and this is the World Cup. Every cricketer wants to go out there, when he's representing his country in the World Cup, wants to put his best foot forward. The 2 games that we've seen, Rahul, the vast difference has been literally every single one of them has contributed towards a victory in terms of the batsmen and also the bowlers.
Even the fielders.
Absolutely. If you look, only Rohit's missed out, and maybe Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Umesh Yadav might not have been amongst wickets, but that run out. So everybody's at least looking to put their best foot forward, looking to just chip in towards a victory. That's been the vast difference in the last 2 months on the Australian tour, and just these 2 games in Australia.
And it was poetic justice to get Abby de Villiers run out. Given what he did to us when we were batting, good fun getting him out that way.
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, I haven't seen India field that well for quite some time. Their intensity, they took all their chances, I think. They didn't put anything down, and they affected 2 run-outs. So that's a really good sign as to their mental attitude. They've gone out there and they're ready for a fight.
And that seems to have changed from previous teams that had gone to Australia, because the joke then was that the boundaries are so far that the Indians had problems in getting it either to the bowler or the keeper.
Well, absolutely. You talk about the previous tour, when some of our senior players, and Mahendra Singh Dhoni was captain, he said, well, we're going to rotate our players. Some of our guys can't get the ball from the boundary quick enough to the wicketkeeper or the bowler's end. So we're going to rotate our
That was a pot shot at Sehwag that created quite a bit of firecrackers in the studio as well. Andrew is just shaking his head.
Oh, it might have been a little bit unfair. Everyone grows old.
Okay, let's take a look at the other pool. This is crucial because we've seen that India is parked right at the top of their pool. You've got New Zealand at a net run rate better than India's. They're at 3.56 in the positive. They're just doing spectacularly well. You've got Australia right behind at 2.20. Then you've got Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Scotland, and England placed right at the bottom of the pack. Hugely embarrassing this for England, in the same way as it's been embarrassing for Pakistan. Now, the first 2 seem to be taking care of themselves, Nikhil, New Zealand and Australia. From the rest, who do you see going through?
Well, you've got New Zealand, Australia. I'm sure Sri Lanka is going to be bouncing back. The fight for the 4th...
Afghanistan gave them a scare this morning.
Yeah, well, I guess Sri Lanka, might have had their early hiccups. They'll bounce back in the tournament. Make no mistake about it.
So they're at number 3. But India is most keen on who's at number 4.
Exactly. There might be a fight or toss-up between Bangladesh and England for number 4th slot.
Who would we rather face in your view?
Well, if you want to keep your eyes on the World Cup, it could be anybody, Rahul. So,
no, who's easier from our perspective?
Well, I guess England, Bangladesh, it could be either one of them. No disrespect to any side.
If you were Dhoni, who would you rather play, England or Bangladesh?
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh. I think so too, because their bowling is easier to deal with. They will be under pressure. England has the pace attack to cause trouble to India.
Yeah, but their batting has not been,
And what if we have to bat first?
Fair enough. If we go out there and bowl, if England's batting as well, if you're chasing down as well, I'm sure, with the kind of form that we've seen some of our quick bowlers and the spinners, we can go out there and get the better of England. But I guess even if it's Bangladesh, hey, we're not complaining. At the end of the day, we want to get through that day.
What you've got to bear in mind is that England at the moment, they're shot ducks. You know, they're not playing very well at all. So they're under a great deal of pressure. You know, that'll be embarrassing if they don't make it through to the next round. But they are under pressure. So they're a side that you probably would not mind playing. Bangladesh, they can be quite spirited at the best of times. We all know that.
And if they make it through, then of course it's going to be a spirited
They're going to
side.
be very pumped up, and one match away from being in the semi-final, and that would set Dhaka crazy. If you think Indians are celebrating, imagine what would happen in Dhaka if Bangladesh were to get there. I want to go across to Rajit. I'm told he's joining us from Qatar. Rajit, welcome to the Cup That Matters. What's your question?
Yes, Rahul, good evening to Nikhil, Symonds and to Ganguly. I am Rajiv from Qatar. Yes, one thing which we have missed discussing over here is that Team India has played a really masterstroke by sending Ajinkya Rahane before Raina, and I believe the whole World Cup will surround on how mental stable our batsmen are or other teams are, and I believe that is where we have won today. It is not about the skills, it is because of the mental stability our batsmen have shown today.
That's true, because when they were playing South Africa, even right at the start, it didn't seem as if they were missing the ball. They were being able to time the ball right from the time they got in, whether it was a Shikhar Dhawan, a Virat Kohli, or even Ajinkya Rahane. Andrew.
Yeah, very few times did the South Africans beat the outside edge of the Indian batsmen's bats today. They were very well organised. You know, Shikhar Dhawan looked very compact at the crease early in his innings. Those first couple of overs, he looked good in defence. And they look well organised, the Indian top order. You know, no one had their feathers ruffled at all.
He looks very silly when he's not in form, but when he's in form, he looks supremely imposing with that big moustache of his.
Well, I guess, you know, Shikhar set it up very nicely, but just getting back to that caller out, the difference between sending Suresh Raina in that Pakistan game in comparison to the one here with Ajinkya Rahane going against the South African, it was the Pakistanis had the two spinners bowling, and with the left-hander, Suresh Raina. When you had the real quicks, you wanted to send a man who could go out there, rotate the strike, and who's technically pretty more sound. So that's the feeling.
And the other good thing about this team in comparison with previous Indian teams is that they don't mind hooking and pulling. You know, earlier you just pitch it short and the Indian batsman would get defensive, whether it was Ajinkya Rahane or Virat Kohli, very comfortable, and even Shikhar Dhawan, very comfortable on the back foot.
Yeah, well, the MCG is a venue. It's a huge ground square of the wicket, so that was the area to attack the opposition. Bowl a few short balls, making them have to hook and pull the ball to the longest boundary. If you're pitching up and the batsman's looking to hit straight, you've only got to hit it about 60, 65 metres to hit the ball over the fence there. So it makes sense to use those longer boundaries to attack the opposition.
Okay, we've got Sunil joining us from Belgaum. Go ahead, sir. What's your question?
I would like to ask if 6th March West Indies against West Indies 300 run cross 2 matches. If India batting second, how should approach that match against West Indies? If what kind of the batting lineup? If bowling is
Indian fan still very scared, you know, very suspicious, very happy with the way things have gone, but very concerned about what might happen against the West Indies because they've been playing fearless cricket. They've got very little to lose mentally. You know, you've got 1 billion fans screeching down your head in the hotel lobbies when you go out for a drink, when you're going out to get a meal. There's just fans telling you, Kohli, you must go, Kohli, you must go. West Indies has no such problem.
No, not at all. And that's been their style of cricket all around forever. You know, go out there and, you know, very calypso style of cricket. See the ball, if it's in your zone, you go after it. But I guess you want to also ask that if Team India were chasing 300, what would their strategy be? I'd say still stick to the same. I know it's a mental battle, you know, between the years. Don't lose wickets early on. Rahul, that's the mantra in this World Cup in Australia. 10 overs, even if you're, say, 50, chasing 300, don't lose too many wickets. Come the middle overs, you will have a partnership that will make the difference. You count
South
backwards.
Africa almost had that partnership when A.B. de Villiers was batting.
Yeah, you need to count backwards. The last 10 or last 15, what's the kind of total that you're looking at? 8 to 9 over in the last 15, achievable with great amount of ease with these new field restrictions, as long as you've got wickets in hand. If you throw it in a little too early, you lose the wickets early on, then you're always going to be looking to play catch-up.
Well, right now the Indian team is looking good. All of this is making perfect sense. The question is, as the gentleman said, if you're chasing 300 and the pressure mounts, will these tactics that look so fabulous on paper translate into action on the ground? How many times the Prime Minister has been tweeting, to each player separately, referring to Sir Jadeja as Sir, and given how he's been very sporty about it, do you think he might go across if India were to get to the knockout stages, especially the finals?
I have a feeling he might, because of he's probably following it, or his team is following it, and it would be a good place to be, because don't forget, he wants to go out there and promote Indian sports per se. And if Team India is out there playing the World Cup...
He thinks Tony Abbott is a very close friend of his now after his visit to Australia.
Absolutely. So I won't put it past him that if Team India make it to the last four or get to the final...
Because we actually haven't seen a Prime Minister being so proactive when it comes to cheering up the team. And he's been doing it virtually before every match. And he's been very smart about it as well, with the help of his advisors.
Absolutely. And it
he's
also
got specific tweets for each person.
And it just goes to show how either he's geared on to the game and, the pulse of the nation at this moment in time, the World Cup's on.
But there are a couple of concerns. You've got the big budget session coming up. He needs to be in India for that. He's also got a tour to Maldives, Mauritius coming up later as well. And then there's a visit to Germany, France and Canada. So there's a lot of work that he has to do. Well, let's see if he can go catch some cricket. There's now he in any case can fly directly to whichever town the match will take place. And I want to focus with Andrew Symonds on the niggles. If you were strategizing from an Indian perspective, what do you think we need to try and iron out before the next big match?
Oh, look, I think they're gaining momentum the whole time. But the one thing I suppose you could take out of today's game was the last sort of 5 or 6 overs.
The second time we couldn't get our act together in the last few overs.
Yeah,
Why?
Why? If you lose wickets, it's very hard to come in and immediately start hitting boundaries. It's always the case, even on good wickets. So you basically want the men that are in to stay in for as long as possible. Obviously, no one means to get out, but and then if you do come in, you've got to immediately look to turn the strike over. Just knock the ball at your feet or run it down the third man and just turn the strike over. I think Indians were probably caught today at the end, those last few overs, trying to hit boundaries when they should have just looked to turn the strike over for another over or two to get themselves in.
But we lost both set batsmen, so it's not as if you turn the strike over, you had a Shikhar Dhawan or an Ajinkya Rahane on the other side.
No, but that's how you rebuild your momentum. You've just got to start with singles, and then, whereas, there's a lot of dot balls in those last 5 overs, and that's crucial that doesn't happen. You build momentum at any point in the game by turning the strike over.
Also, we saw Dale Steyn bowl a lot of Yorkers. He did much better in the end than he did in the beginning. What else could we have possibly done differently in the last few overs?
Well, I guess the difference is, like Andrew said, you needed one set batsman at least in the last 5 overs, and this is a matter of concern. The difference, when you have the opportunity to get those 15-20 extra out, when your score reached 320 or 330, even against Pakistan, there was a possibility at one stage of the game we thought that you could get to 330. Looking at the scoreboard 330 and looking at the scoreboard 305 or 308 to chase, it's a big difference. And I guess those last 5-6 overs, we just lost our way. So it's important, when you've got, say, 10 overs, you've got to try and also think, where does Mahendra Singh Dhoni come to bat? When there's a long enough partnership, I'd want to send him in, at least at a point in time where he's got that opportunity that he can rotate the strike, 10 overs.
So do what he did in the World Cup finals last time.
Absolutely. He's a
Why doesn't he do that more often, Andrew?
He's a far better player.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously the batsmen do the batting and the bowlers do the bowling, but I agree with you. I think
he did that so well. Abhishek from Indore is joining us now on this broadcast. Abhishek, what's your question?
Good evening. Hi, Rahul.
Hi, Abhishek. Welcome.
My question is for Andrew Symonds. Do you think India's early exit in the crisis was a blessing in disguise? And second question, what has changed for this bowling attack? This same bowling attack was matched to all parts of the ground in the Test series or the One Day series. What has changed literally? And can you please request Nikhil Chopra to do some Bhangra for us?
Can you just repeat the last part of what you said?
Can you please request Nikhil Chopra to do some Bhangra for us?
Nikhil Chopra. No, in fact, our producers just said that the Bhangra team is about to arrive. So they'll be here, and Andrew Symonds too. You learned some Bhangra. Bhaji taught you Bhangra, not yet?
no, I'm not dancing.
No, wait, let the Bhangra team come. That's coming at 7:30. But interesting. I think that's been the one overriding narrative. Between the time of the Tri-Series and now, what's changed? It's an almost impossible question to answer, but we're glad that things have, and this team now looks as if it could possibly be on its way to not giving up the cup.